You sit alone. 2 days since her last message. You replay the smile, the lean, the promise. Then the silence drops like a verdict. Hear this plainly. Silence is rarely rejection. It is a test. Not of her feelings, but of your gravity. Of whether you collapse toward absence or stand still and become something steadier. I tell you what the silence is doing. Measuring your center. When she pulls away, sometimes out of fear, sometimes to see who you are, she watches for collapse. She listens for panic. She waits to see if your value is earned or begged for. This is not a game of tricks. It is a battlefield where presence, not pleas, determines the outcome. You have two choices in that quiet. Chase, fracture, plead for scraps of attention, or stop, breathe, and convert the anxiety into structure. Turn fear into routine. Turn craving into ritual. Train at dawn. Read with your coffee. Forge habits that do not depend on a text. Build a life that is fuller in her absence than it ever was in her company. That is the law of presence. Be the wall, not the weather vane. When desire is tested, steadiness becomes attraction. When you stop proving yourself to her and start proving yourself to you, a new currency appears. Confidence that doesn't need validation. Stillness is not passive. It is disciplined. It is an act of emotional leadership. This is brutal, and it must be. If you want to be inevitable, you must accept that worth is forged, not begged. You will feel the pivot from collapse to command. You will walk through nights of solitude, lift in empty gyms, and return to the city with a quieter stride. And she will see you differently, not because you tricked her, but because you became unshakable. If this lands for you, make it public here. Comment, I rise, not chase. I build myself in the silence. Like this video as a sign of belonging. Subscribe to continue the journey. Support the channel. This is our collective mission to become men who lead with dignity, discipline, and unbreakable presence. You replay the last smile until it cracks. The silence stretches, 2 days, then 3. An accusation you hand yourself like a verdict. The omniscient truth laid bare. Silence is rarely the end. Silence is a measuring stick. She pulls back. Somewhere inside you, a gravity test begins. The world watches the response, and the response defines you. Here is the law. Withdrawal gauges your weight. If you sprint toward it, desire splinters. If you stand like a cliff, unbothered and immovable, attraction rebalances itself around you. This is not manipulation. It is authority. It is the difference between a man who dissolves and a man who forges. You are observed, not by her alone, but by your own standards. Every tremor, every frantic text writes a story about who you are. Choose the version that survives scrutiny. Picture the pivot. The apartment is quiet. You lace up shoes in gray light, not to escape, but to mark territory. Discipline.
I realized I'd been measuring my days by standards that didn't quite fit, expectations that seemed borrowed rather than discovered. When I looked at my job, for example, I saw routines that suited everyone but me, ambitions that glittered, yet lost their shine in my hands. Sitting through meetings or crossing out lists, I wondered if I'd mistaken busyness for meaning, progress for purpose. My friends could see all the boxes checked off and imagine genuine satisfaction, while deep down, I wondered why each achievement left me staring at the ceiling late at night. This uncertainty started to leak into everything, the way I connected with people, how I handled stress, even small moments that should have felt joyful. My conversations with those closest to me grew quieter, as if I was waiting for someone to hand me the answer I couldn't find. It dawned on me. No one else could name what truly mattered to me or why. That responsibility lay entirely with me. Questions started swirling. Was my anxiety a signal to slow down and rethink instead of just pushing through? Had I tuned out my own wants for fear of disappointing others? Could the restlessness I carried point towards something I needed to face, rather than something broken within me? These realizations didn't arrive as grand epiphanies, but as slow, persistent nudges. I sensed that if I wanted more than just a life that appeared successful from the outside, I'd need to start exploring honestly what gave my days meaning. That journey would mean letting go, at least for a while, of what everyone else considered enough. It would take courage, honesty, and time to quiet down the noise and ask myself, what truly brings me alive? If this kind of reflection resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Here, we explore how to build a life that feels authentic and deeply rewarding, one step at a time, together. Months passed in a blur of digital deadlines and endless scrolling, and I found myself trapped in a cycle that everyone around me seemed to accept as normal. At work, I watched colleagues, bright, creative people, audibly sigh as another notification popped up on their screens. Lunchtime became just another excuse to refresh my feed and scroll through curated snapshots of triumph, promotions, exotic getaways, award speeches. I'd laugh off the gnawing sense of inadequacy, but it followed me home, curling up beside me while I lay awake at night. Why did it always feel like I was chasing a finish line that never got any closer? As if simply existing inside this web of expectations meant I was constantly behind, a runner forever trying to catch up. Social platforms didn't make it any easier. I noticed how quickly a single post or a few likes could lift my mood, only to send it crashing when the next hour brought silence. At the office, performance metrics became a measure of personal worth. Productivity apps buzzed with reminders to do more, be better, and never pause.
Support this mission of collective strength, because becoming unshakable is not a solo act. It's a code we choose together. Stand still, rise.